Have you ever wanted to buy a new camera and then you just went on the internet or maybe watched some YouTube videos to decide which camera to buy, but then you just came across a ton of terminologies and stuff that you don't know? Things like mirrorless cameras, DSLRs, compact, full frame, APS-C, and all of that? Well, if that's the case, don't worry, today I got you covered. What up y'all, and welcome to the channel. I am Rahal, a college student and also make YouTube videos. So if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and hitting like because it helps this video reach more audience just like you. A little disclaimer though, I'm not a camera tech guy by any means. I'm just a guy with some knowledge about cameras, and I thought it might be helpful sharing this info with other people as well. So let's get it started. There are like a lot of companies who make cameras, and by a lot I mean really a lot. I don't even know some of them. However, some of them are like really famous, and I'm sure like the majority of you already heard of them. And these companies like Canon, Sony, Nikon, Fuji, Panasonic, Hasselblad, and so many. But in this video, I'll be highlighting only Canon and Sony cameras because they're like the most famous brands and also almost available everywhere. Alright, so to make it easier for you, I'm gonna divide cameras into 4 categories. We have compact, DSLRs, mirrorless, and cinema cameras. And at the end, I'm gonna talk a little bit about lenses as well. So I'm gonna talk about each category and give you examples from Canon and Sony lineup cameras. So first we have compact cameras, and those kind of like really small cameras, hence the name compact, with non-interchangeable lenses, meaning that you cannot switch lenses because the lens is built right into the body itself and retracts back right into it. So if you are looking for something really small, compact, you can put it in your pocket, take it with you anywhere, and you don't want to deal with the hassle of buying lenses and switching lenses, well, I guess compact cameras is a really good option. Now we have DSLRs. DSLR stands for digital single lens reflex, and those are like the old school traditional cameras, very fat and bulky in size, and we can divide them into 2 types. We have DSLR full frame and we have DSLR APS-C cameras, and the APS-C stands for Advanced Photo System Type C, in case you want to know. So the difference between full frame cameras and APS-C cameras is the sensor size, where in APS-C cameras they have much smaller sensor size than the sensor in the full frame cameras. Now bigger sensors can give you much better image quality, dynamic range, depth of field or like bokeh, and also allow you to shoot in low light and still retain decent quality. Now this doesn't mean that APS-C cameras are bad. They're like really good, and some of them are like just as good as full frame. Now because APS-C cameras are like way much cheaper than full frame cameras, a lot of people just end up buying APS-C cameras. In fact, some companies like Fujifilm, they literally don't make any full frame cameras. They just focus entirely on the APS-C cameras. So they're like just getting really good. Now as examples of DSLR cameras, we have Canon full frame DSLR cameras, and those are like the 1DX series like 1DX Mark III, and the 5D series like Canon 5D Mark IV, and finally we have the 6D series like Canon 6D Mark I and Mark II. On the other hand, we have Canon DSLR APS-C cameras, and those cameras like the 2-digit followed by the letter D. For example, Canon 90D, Canon 80D, knowing that the higher the number gets, the better the camera is. For example, the Canon 90D is an update to the Canon 80D and so on. And also have the Rebels series, and those are like the 3-digit followed by the letter D. For example, Canon 500D, Canon 600D, all of that. And the same applies, the higher the number gets, the better the camera is. Now Sony stopped making DSLR cameras a long time ago, and the last one was released back in 2016, and that was the Sony A99, and they also made Sony A77. But all of these cameras have been removed from the company website, and this clearly tells us that Sony does not want to make any DSLRs anymore. So now we have mirrorless cameras. So in the old school DSLR cameras, there's like a mirror and a prism inside the camera body. So whenever you take a picture, the mirror flips up, letting the light inside exposing the sensor, and hence you can see the image. However, in the mirrorless world, they got rid of that mirror, hence the name mirrorless. Now, the mirrorless technology first appeared back in 2008 when Panasonic released their first mirrorless camera, and that was Panasonic Lumix G1. And then 6 years later, Sony dropped their first full frame mirrorless camera, and that was Sony a7 Mark I. And Canon didn't catch up until 2018 when they dropped their first full frame mirrorless camera, and that was Canon EOS R. So right now in 2021, or the time you are watching this video, mirrorless cameras are like just getting so popular and just taking over the market. And I believe eventually they will just make us kiss goodbye our old DSLRs, because they are like way much smaller in size and do everything DSLR cameras can do, and even much better. Now, because you already know the difference between full frame and APS-C cameras, I'm just gonna go ahead and give you examples of mirrorless cameras from Sony and Canon. So on the Canon side, we have Canon mirrorless full frame cameras, and those are like 4 cameras by the time you're watching this video. So we have the Canon EOS R, RP, R5 and R6. And we have also Canon mirrorless crop sensor cameras, and those are represented by Canon M series, like the notorious Canon M50, the one I'm shooting on right now, and Canon M6 Mark II, and a lot of them. On the other hand, we have Sony mirrorless cameras. So first we have Sony full frame mirrorless cameras. So Sony divide them into like different categories. Each category is specialized in a specific thing. So we have the Sony a7S series, and this category is specialized in videography and low light. Hence the letter S stands for sensitivity, like Sony a7S Mark I, II and III. We also have Sony a7R series, and this category is specialized in taking high-res photos. Hence the letter R stands for resolution, like Sony a7R Mark I, II, III, Mark IV. We also have Sony A9 series, and this category is specialized in fast-moving objects like sports. And we have the very popular Sony A7 series, and this series is kind of like hybrid cameras for both videos and photos, like Sony A7 Mark I, II, and the legendary Sony A7 Mark III. And finally, we have the recently released Sony A1, and this is, in my opinion, the most powerful full-frame mirrorless hybrid camera on the planet right now. It is crazy. It is literally crazy. And just like Canon, Sony also makes APS-C mirrorless cameras, and these are like the Sony a6000 series, like the Sony 6400, and the Sony a5000 series, like the Sony 5100. And also we have the Next series, I believe, like Next 5 and Next 6. And finally, we have the cinema cameras, and hence the name cinema. They're like used for high-end professional production, like movies in Hollywood. They use cameras like Reds and Arri Alexa, and even Canon and Sony also make cinema cameras. So Canon has the C100 series, like C200 and C300, and Sony has the FX series, like Sony FX3, 6 and FX9. Now finally, let's talk about lenses a little bit. Now lenses are like as important as cameras, and you cannot use a camera without a lens. Well, yeah, technically yes, you can do it, but don't do it. And whenever you buy a new camera, it comes with a lens, and that lens is called kit lens. We have a lot of companies who make cameras, Sony and Canon included. So lenses can be divided into 3 types. So first we have zoom lenses, meaning that you can zoom into your object without moving the camera body itself. And also you have prime lenses, meaning that you cannot zoom, so you have to move yourself closer or far away from your object. And finally we have micro lenses, and those are like for close-up photography. Alright, so I guess I'm gonna wrap the video up right here, and I hope now you have a better understanding of cameras. And if you're like getting value out of this video, please reward me with a like, because it helps a lot more than you know. And also hit subscribe to help the channel, and goodbye.